Hello everybody, it is Thursday the 3rd. Oh my god, it's Wednesday the 3rd of March. It's someday in early March. Who's keeping track? Furlough, the government scheme where they pay 80% of your salary for about 5 million people in this country, has been extended until October. The Chancellor of the Exchequer, the British Finance Secretary, he's money printing. So, that's all the politics you're getting, 30 seconds. And today we're going to go down a deep spiritual rabbit hole. And I got spurned. I got urged. I got wanting. I became desperate to talk about this after watching a bunch of Sikh videos. You know, the religion of Sikhism. And their Guru Nanak. And the saying Sabgo Bindahe, and then it goes on Binda something. But as I don't speak Punjabi, am I right? I don't know what it is. But what they're trying to say is in Sikhism, they are pantheists. They are of the opinion that everything is God. And the Sabgo Bindahe says everything is God, there is nothing but God. And it got me thinking. I was listening to this wonderfully bearded London guy in a blue turban on these videos. And I was like, yeah, they get it. And I think one thing the pharmacological fear industry has done to us since the start of the pandemic and the coof and the cough and sneeze is that we are all, myself included, we're all locked into only seeing the 3D physical world. And what's the players here? What's the conspiracy? Is it the Great Reset? Has the money run out? Are they just covering a lack of liquidity, which they've had to then just print infinite amounts of money just to keep people paid? Who's in on it? Who's not in on it? Is the Adam Curtis documentary correct? The Can't Get You Out of My Head? Is everyone confused? Does everyone just believe in nothing now? And the world is just Planet Earth PLC, Planet Earth Inc., Planet Earth Ltd. We are here to bring you short-term profits for our shareholders. And what is amazing is that as a shareholder, especially a big shareholder in any corporation, if you feel that that company has not put your profits first and foremost in what they're trying to do as a company, you can actually sue the corporation, because as a shareholder, you're part owner. And as shareholder, there is a legal need for that corporation, that's why it was set up, to focus on short-term profits for you. So why is the government printing all this money? Last thing I'll say, pensions, guys. Pensions. The boomers need their pensions. And if they stopped printing the money, the illusion of civilization would collapse when you had old people starving on the streets. And yeah. So, we've all been focused on the 3D material world. There is science, science deniers, science believers. I fucking love science. Oh, I love science. It's amazing. But here's the beautiful thing about science. It can perfectly describe the physical forces and, electromagnetic world and maths and so forth. It can stop an airliner falling out of the sky because it knows that, you create lower pressure above the aileron and beneath it, and it creates lift, and you can put men on the moon. You can fire a bloody spaceship and land it on a satellite. Not a satellite, land it on a comet. You can land it on an asteroid hundreds of thousands of miles away, not light years. Can you imagine if we sent something and it went 100,000 light years away already? Did you know, oh my god, that humanity's signals in terms of radio waves or photons from our planet, they've traveled out approximately 100 light years. And when you look at the Milky Way, when you look at our local area in the Milky Way, when you look at 100 light years, okay, you've got, say there's like a little microdot. Who took that mescaline when you're teens? Woo! Thought I'd pissed myself in Edinburgh. Microdots were interesting. Never seen them since, though. If you imagine the Earth as a microdot in between my fingers, 100 light years is maybe that. And the Milky Way would maybe be the size of Swinton, where I'm sat now. So, yeah, you think you've sent out radio waves to the aliens, but really you've sent out radio waves to your front garden. It's easy to get scared when you look at the science, when you look at the experts, when you look at the scientific advisory group of experts that are advising on the pandemic. Many of whom, well, one's confirmed. It's on our Wikipedia. Susan Gracie or Susan Massey or Susan Lenin, Susan Stalin. She's a card-carrying member of the British Communist Party. Now, I said 12 years ago, 12 years ago, just under 12 years ago, that if you're not scared of swine flu, you probably won't get swine flu. Now, just today, just bumped into another 80-year-old. It's amazing how many friends I have in their 70s and 80s, the octogenarians and the septuagenarians. And, yeah, like, the ones that walk around that are like, oh, I've got an immune system, this is a load of shite. Don't know why I associate my stoic octogenarian with a Glaswegian. But, the ones who seem to be most dying from it and being affected by it are the ones who are most scared. And that kind of points towards a kind of metaphysical reality. So I was listening to Radio X yesterday, Johnny Vaughan on the 4 till 7 thing. You should listen online. This is to the international audience. It's not just a Manchester radio thing. It's on 97.7 FM. And it sounds like shit in my car. I've switched to Radio 1 or Smooth or XS or whatever, Radio 2, and it sounds crystal clear, like liquid digital perfection. And Radio X sounds shit. So, let's jump into the chase. A 7-minute intro is enough. Thomas Nagel, the philosopher, he wrote a book recently called Mind and Cosmos. Thomas Nagel is one of the most respected philosophers in the world. You know, he's like Harvard standard, Princeton standard, Oxford, Cambridge standard. He's a big gun in philosophy. And he wrote a book very recently called Mind and Cosmos, where he refutes materialism. He refutes those who try and say that there is no mystery or anything transcendental or anything sublime about consciousness. He refutes that. He says, And Mind and Cosmos is so goddamn philosophically complicated as a book that I have a master's in the general arts. My major was moral and political philosophy. I dabbled in a bit of logic and wasn't good at that. Logic in like scientific logic, not like conversational logic. I can handle myself fine on a logical conversation. Mind and Cosmos. But before he wrote Mind and Cosmos, he wrote an amazing essay that is world famous in philosophical circles called What Does It Feel Like to Be a Bat? And it's just ironic that I raise this now that we're in the bat soup induced. That's the cover story. We all know that the Chinese Wuhan Institute of Virology fucked it. And then they had to do a cover story. Oh yeah, wet market, we're eating bats and, you know, scare the Westerners. Bats, caves, spooky Halloween, Batman, woo! So Thomas Nagel, who has said that reality is probably mind and cosmos. He wrote the book, What Does It Feel Like to Be a Bat? Let's expand that. And he says there's definitely something, you know, with echolocate that if you were a bat, it would feel that self, that bat self. Imagine that. That's like Batman for the politically correct future. No, it's bat self. Non-binary bat self. But let me ask you guys a question then. So what does it feel like to be the universe? If the argument is sound from Thomas Nagel, good old Nagel, that there is something that it feels like to be a bat, there is something that it feels like to be the universe. Now, you know how we know? Because we've cut them open and we've had a look. that the human brain is the most complicated structure in the universe. Well, guess what? The only thing as complicated as the human brain is the structure of the universe. So what it feels like to be you, to be the self, to be this person that has subjective viewpoints and opinions and realizes and has metas upon metas on yourself. Oh yeah, the reason why I raised Radio 4, Johnny Vaughan and is it Gavin or Dan, the sidekick, they were describing how things were meta. And I only came across, obviously I've known what meta is, you know, the meta-narrative, the metaphysics, the metatarsal bone. I don't think that's quite along the same lines. But meta. Nagel has been meta for a long time. And the only structure as complicated as the human brain is the structure of the universe. Whether it's known universe or unknown universe. We don't know the unknown unknowns of the unknown universe, do we? Because it's unknown. We don't even know what we don't know about it. So my hypothesis, which I've done the experiments, I've predicted it, I've written the conclusion, and my hypothesis, my real-world exercise has proven to be correct. The universe feels like the self, because the self is all there is, and it's just a fractal line from the universe, which is very large, to the self. And who knows how far down or how far up it goes. Can you imagine if, like, you managed to create warp drives and you got out of the Milky Way and you shot out and you're like, me and these suicidal astronauts, psychonauts, we're going to discover what's at the edge of the universe. Can you imagine if they managed to go in their spaceship? Probably need to take a lot of food and drink, but they went out and they're traveling at warp speed, 1 trillion times the speed of light. And imagine they pop out of the pore of a gigantic being and we were just inside the brain of another very large thing. But as Stephen Jay Gould, he's a scientist, he's a physicist, cosmologist, he's a space scientist. Stephen Jay Gould says that the end of the universe, as in the heat death of the universe, is identical to the conditions just before the Big Bang. And he says whether it's 1 trillion square miles in diameter or whether it's 1/trillionth of a nanometer in diameter, it doesn't matter because it's a viewpoint in quantum physics. It's the viewer that decides the scale. And if any of my viewers have ever done magic mushrooms or LSD, we were talking about microdots and mescaline earlier, but if you've ever done a heroic dose of magic mushrooms and sat on the end of your sofa and had a look over the coffee table, onto the carpet, onto the houseplants, onto whatever's on the coffee table, up to the television, I've had collapse of scale. And from me to the coffee table, it may have been across the Grand Canyon, 2 miles. And then I started having fun with that. I got it onto almost galactic scales. Like the distance between me and the television stand is the distance between the Earth and the Moon. And that was represented. And I felt awe. No, AWE. I felt awe looking at the coffee table stand, the television stand. And that's what psychedelics can do. Now, it's kind of gone out of fashion. I know we got the whole nostalgia of Terence McKenna, but it has kind of gone out of fashion. And you know what it is? The universe, the self, the universe is the self, loves novelty. Which is why in this video, as opposed to the last one, we're not going to talk about the coof. We're not going to concentrate on the cough and sneeze. As I said in the last video, we are literally at the brink. March the 3rd. Kids go back to school in 5 days. Everyone's vaccinated. All the older people who, let's be honest, if you're old, if you're 75, are you going to care about the long-term fertility implications? No. So on the balance of things, if it works, if you believe in that sort of thing, I don't care. This isn't a absolutist channel. My parents have had the vaccine. They haven't grown 18 testicles each yet. Oh, that would... Scrap that thought out of your mind. My elderly parents with giant extra gonads growing because the mRNA vaccine has affected them. But the universe loves novelty. So, again, spirituality, religion, psychology needs to be updated. And many of you have been like very supportive about my flirtations with Christianity. And I've tried to explain that there isn't anything outside of the self, which is the mind. And to say that Christianity is false or wrong is like trying to say that love is false or wrong, because who's ever seen a love? Who's ever seen a particle of love? It's concepts. It's all we have is mind. That's all there ever is. Sab go bind hai, as they say in Punjabi. There is nothing but God. You are God. As Bernardo Kastrup, he actually worked at CERN. And you know what's great about Bernardo Kastrup? Not just the fact that he's half Brazilian, half European, just like me. I'm Brazilian Scottish. He's Brazilian Danish. How cool is that? And yeah, I did chat to him in Portuguese very briefly. I like the guy. I like Bernardo. But he says that each mind, each human mind, is a disassociated universe. You know, much like, let's say, I see this a lot in Lancashire. You've got your reservoirs, and then there's a spill tower, or they'll have a drain, a vortex drain. Now, and then there's like, you know, tornadoes in the sky. Is a vortex its own structure? No, it's an interaction of water going down a hole, a vortex. Woo, spinny, spin, spin, spin. And so we are the little vortices of the general universe. That's what he says. And it all needs novelty, new things. Now, I'm in a very good mood, and I've been told to go shopping, so I need to go shopping for groceries. But I wanted to touch base with you because I promise I'm still here. I'm not just reposting 12-year-old videos like I did this morning. There's still thoughts here. So how I'm going to end this, and we're going to keep this beneath 20 minutes, is all these band-aids, all these plasters we put on to like try and make ourselves feel better, and like the latest trendy ones in the novelty world is like, oh, gender, 100 genders, it's the outside, like, oh, I'm the wrong sex, I'm this, oh my god, I've seen some funny ones online, like personal identity. It's being encouraged by the machine men because it never is. You'll never see like a teenager with the emo hair or whatever. They'll never say, you know what, BBC or Channel 4? I think I'm the representation of the Godhead. I'm neither male nor female. I am God because I've studied philosophy. I've done the internal voyaging necessary to discover such empirically objective things. See what I did there? It's objective. If all there is the subject, how's it not objective? You see what I did there? Do you like that? Anyway, watch my video called The Object. It's very similar to this one, but a bit more walkie-walkie, talkie-talkie than this one. So, the system, you see how it works. You see how it works. Most people are the Godhead asleep. The NPCs. And why not? Don't bother them, as Alan Watts says. These people are truly far out. They're just bummed. They don't care. All the way from like a slack-jawed yokel all the way to Homer Simpson. These are the people that are just here for the ride. And it is just a ride, as Bill Hicks says. It is just a ride. So for you guys, my viewers who are not NPCs, forget about the band-aids. Forget about the corporate Channel 4 BBC people saying, oh, it's this, it's that. The next thing you know, all the followers, oh yeah, I'm that. I'm that. I bet you, if like we did 10 years of telling people about Alan Wattsian theories, about showing people some deep Sikhism, pantheist, beautiful views about the nature of reality and the fact that Christianity and Jesus is a representative of the self. But of course, people wouldn't understand that in the West before the introduction of Eastern ideas of Buddhism and Sikhism and all the other ones. Hinduism, of course, the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads. Phenomenal. In the beginning was the self. And what do the Buddhists and the Hindus say? They say that energy, that God, birthless, deathless, eternal. Birthless, deathless, and eternal. And when you realize you're that, and it's dream upon dream upon dream, then you'll be a fucking warrior king or a warrior queen. You don't have to hide. You don't have to wear a face nappy. You're a fucking king or a queen. You know what to do. Oh, that. You know what to do. Under 20 minutes as promised. This is Charlie Veitch. Thank you.